This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Hey there.
Hey,
Hi,
gang.
Cindy, how are you?
Did you ask me a question? I didn't catch it. Sorry.
No, just seeing how you are.
I am quite well. Thank you so much. We're waiting for Rini. You've got your background muted, Ian, there. I assume that's because it's kind of,
Ugly.
unpleasant.
I could use that.
The 1970s wall paneling is a little outdated, so.
Yeah, well, a lot of us who lived in the 70s are outdated, so there you go. Okay. Just a couple more minutes. Did you all see the Google Doc that Rini did with like an outline of considerations?
Yes.
Okay.
Finally got some nice weather out there.
I know, I was on the bike path an hour ago, just walking along. It feels good.
Yeah,
Get some sunshine.
absolutely.
Here she is. Okay. Hey, Rini.
Hi, how are you?
We're
Hey,
good.
Rini.
We're here.
Good.
Rini, you did a great job with your outline. Why don't you just kind of take off with this meeting?
Yeah, I just figured since we were going to be having the Easthampton media come in at 2:15, I would just get a head start on it. So I can just share my screen. Hang on a second.
I think I have to give you permission.
Oh, really?
Maybe. No, maybe not.
Hang on.
Oh, there.
Let me see.
Putting us all out to greener pastures.
Yeah, hang on. Town of Southampton. What's this? That's a feasibility thing. Wow, where did it go? Hang on, I need my glasses. Let me find public safety here somewhere. Nope. Publicity, right? There it is. Well, I had the advantage of my students just so happened to kind of research what was available for publicity. So I kind of did a lot of what they were doing. So having an open house in the police department and fire department, and then of course Easthampton Media Channel 191, the newspapers, social media, community signs, and then handout or flyer at certain places. Are there other places that you suggest?
No, I don't have any other suggestions. The Channel 191, I believe it's the same thing. We're talking about having them post a pre-made video that we'll be talking about.
Yep.
And maybe more than one open house at both fire and police stations.
Okay.
Depending on what the chiefs think here, as far
Yeah.
as a couple different times or something.
So I just wanted to mention, maybe you know this already, and it's come up a few times. You know that we're in the process of, I finalized the application for the ARPA funds. If we were to claim lost revenue, then we can use the $1.8 million any way we want. I'm only one person on the select board, and we did do a survey, so I think it's important that we follow up with what people had suggested, but nonetheless, we can fund an update of the feasibility study if the select board decides to claim lost revenue. Then we're not subject to the 4 categories. And right now there's a lot of question as to whether or not a public safety building falls underneath ARPA funds. So I just want you to know that. I don't know where other people feel about it. The last select board meeting, John had suggested that we use some of the money to pay off our pension liability, which will end up ultimately helping the budget a lot and the voters a lot. But I just sent an email after that saying, I'd like to hear more about that. So right now we're kind of going with the idea that there are 4 categories of ARPA spending unless our town decides to proclaim lost revenue. And then we can use, or any town can use, up to $10 million of the ARPA funds towards however they choose to without having to stay within those categories. So I still think it's worth finding out if the ARPA funds will pay for that, but I'm thinking the next step would be an update to the current feasibility plan. And then somewhere along the way, we'll be deciding what would be the best time and the best way to do publicity about this. We might not have to go to the voters to get the funding for an updated feasibility study. So anyway, I just thought I'd let you know. I don't think we're deciding to go out and do anything yet, but that's the scoop. Any other suggestions about? I know police and fire each have their own Facebook page, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
And then Norris has one. And then Caitlin Swistack Rooks told me that there's a parents Facebook page. I don't know if that means like parents, not necessarily their kids go to Norris, but just a Southampton parents page. I don't know if there are any other social media groups, but those are the ones that come to mind.
The only other one, Rini, is the town moderator's email.
Oh, right.
The Robert
Right.
Floyd email.
Yeah. What do you call that? Southampton News?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good amount of them.
Yeah.
Oh, and the COA newsletter. Do you have that there? That would be a newsletter. So that
Yeah.
maybe
Council-
on number 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking Council on Aging School would have a newsletter, and so would like maybe the Southampton Youth Association.
Yeah, I thought about that too. Why don't I add SYAA? I was actually, I put Tiger Talk somewhere. I thought I did.
Yeah, you did. It's right on 6, right above the one you just typed in.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. I think that's pretty much most of them.
Well, the library has a newsletter also. I mean, you got the
Yeah, I
library
got
there. I think that meant posting a flyer, which is great. You can do it on their, yeah, great. Do it on their front door.
Mhm. All right. So before the Easthampton media jumps on, I'll just stop. I'll save this and then stop sharing it. If you think of anything else, you can let me know, but I'll forward this to you, well, all of you. I won't be able to be at the meeting on Monday. I'm leaving for vacation Wednesday, but I'll just send this to you so you can just kind of share it with the committee.
Okay.
If you
I'd
think of
done-
anything
I-
else.
Yeah, I'd done some thoughts I'd put into your document online. I don't know.
Oh,
if
you
had a
did?
chance-
Okay.
I don't know if you had any chance to look at those. 'Cause,
No, I didn't. Should I bring it up?
well, you could if you wanted. I mean, I've got it in my other screen. I just wondered, at some point, do we think about, like, because some of the concerns we have on both departments is, like OSHA standards, those kinds of things. Excuse me
Right.
for a second.
Right.
And you hate to do that too prematurely, but
Right.
it is something that we need to look at. And as we start to move the thing forward, I mean, I think the town should really balance whether they want to try and put money into an old station that really does need to be upgraded due to state standards, And I actually linked a website to an OSHA thing where they come in for free. It's non-binding. It's not like they sit there and, fine you or anything like that, but it really gives you a heads up as to where our shortcomings might be. And since we're doing this, I think it might be worthwhile to do that at some point. I've always been sort of afraid to pull the trigger on that one. But at some point we really should. And at some point, the town itself just really needs to address the shortcomings in the buildings. And so
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
I think
So
that's the point of having the video and also the open house.
yeah. So there's a link in what I added in was a link and then sort of I pasted an excerpt from the confidential service just so that it wasn't thinking we were just trying to get somebody in to cite us for everything in the world.
Along those lines, I've been trying to think like an ordinary citizen in the questions that an ordinary citizen would ask, such as,
Oh, I see. Here it is. Yeah.
why do we need these? What we've floated along for so many decades? Why now? I think that was asked at the meeting last week. Why now? And along the lines of the OSHA deficiencies, what is the risk? I mean, like you just said, you don't want to pull the trigger and bring to OSHA's attention what are deficiencies, but what would happen? I mean, are we talking? I think we need to be a little very, kind of concrete.
Well, I think you can certainly be concrete. It's liability issue. I mean, if someone can, cancer is the big thing in the fire service, and that's what hurts more firefighters than any kind of, dangerous environment. Here all their gear is in with diesel fumes. I mean, the office gets diesel fumes in it when trucks start up. So, the probably the big money liability would be if somebody claims that they were injured due to the town's negligence to meet OSHA standard.
By the way, the production coordinator just joined us. I don't know who it is exactly. Oh, it's Ryan. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, how are you?
Good. We just started to talk a little bit. There's both our fire chief and our police chief and Maureen Groden. You might know Chief Illingsworth and Chief.
Hello.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi there.
Do you want to keep going on that? Because I think if we came up with a list of sort of frequently asked questions and maybe sort of solicit them, we're a little close to the issues right now. I'm getting closer. I'm not as close as you two are. But the point being, we want to make sure whatever we do answers the questions that are going to come up.
Yeah, and my sense is that there's pretty, I think there's a pretty good support for this. I think the issue is going to be the financing. I don't know anybody that I've spoke to who doesn't think we need a new, public safety complex. I think that a lot of it is, at this particular point, is really about where it is and how much it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, whether you're justifying, fixing schools from having black mold or fire stations or police stations for some of those same issues, and carcinogens, I think the health thing, I think the people are behind. I think it's more a matter about money than it is about, whether the station is, in disrepair. I mean, the station is 130 years old. I don't know any other town office that would be in a building 130 years old without major renovation. I think most people are on board with that, but I think Reenie's right. I think it really is a monetary issue.
Yeah, where it is and how much it is. And I think that we just have to plan the publicity at the right time and all that. But we have a draft, and I'll just update the Google Doc with the few things that we added on the other one. And then you can just, if you think of anything between now and Monday's meeting, you can just print it out or share it with the committee. Does that sound all right?
Yeah.
Cindy? Okay.
Yes, but I will say, in terms of the location,
Yeah.
I'm doing a little research. I don't have it done yet regarding that question that came up about location and having to be within 1/2 mile from town center. And I'm working with a man who's an insurance expert on, homeowners insurance, property and casualty, that sort of thing. And he's directed me to something that I can't get into that site. So anyway, I'm going to have a conversation with them just to confirm if that is in fact true. You know, location wise, will it affect everybody's insurance, homeowners insurance, if it's greater than half mile away? I don't know. Maybe somebody here knows if that's true.
Well, yeah, most of it goes up ISO rating. So
Oh yeah, that's what he told me.
yeah,
ISO rating. Okay, so
yeah,
you know about that. So
yeah. So ISO comes in. I can't even think of the last time they were in. They rate the town for what they have for water systems, what we have for personnel on the station, what we have for equipment, and then that gives sort of an insurance a number that the insurance companies can multiply whatever their use it as a multiplier. So if an insurance is whatever amount, but the town is only rated for a 610, it would then determine what people's rates are. Uh, in that, so oftentimes I'll get like a question from an insurance company that says, "Oh, where's the closest hydrant to this location?" Because a hydrant makes a big deal. It's easy enough for them to find how far they are from a fire station. So I think where it gets affected is if, you know, if you really start to get, you know, I mean, I don't know how much like half mile or 1 mile. I mean, I don't know how much difference that truly makes within. It won't affect the ISO because our resources will still be the same. But what it would affect would be the individual homeowner who all of a sudden who used to be, you know, a half mile from the station is now 2 miles from the station. And that's a calculation for insurance companies that they would make. So it would affect insurance for individuals, and my guess is that half mile, and I don't know exactly, but my guess is that if you're within that half mile, it wouldn't affect anyone dramatically. So I don't know what the difference would be if it was 3/4 of a mile. I don't know.
well, it does matter, I think, to the extent of figuring out what site to go to. If it's
Sure.
half a mile versus a 3/4 of a mile versus.
Yeah,
a
I
mile.
don't. I would think if we move 5 miles from where we are right now, you would have dramatic effects to insurance.
So that's kind of where I'm trying to figure out if it's strictly half a mile, you know, or if it's a slightly different
Yeah,
radius.
yeah. I don't know the answer to that.
We now have two guests. It's Jeff. Jeff, is it Mastriani?
Mastriani, yes.
Mastriani, and then Ryan. So I chatted with Jeff a little the other day, and I gave him a little flavor for what we're thinking about. Oh, by the way, Jeff, the other people on this call are our fire chief, John Workman, and our police chief, Ian Illingsworth, and Maureen Garode, who's on the select board. And congratulations for joining the Easthampton media team. I know you're fairly new on it. Good. Yeah. So we are trying to come up with a way to inform the citizens of Southampton about what the reason for even considering building or whatever we end up doing, either a public safety complex or a public, or two different stations, you know, separate from a whole complex. We don't know where. And we also know the money aspect of it is a critical point in it. So I don't know if people want to just go ahead and ask them questions, or if you want to start by saying anything based on my very, very brief, you know, meeting with you the other day via the phone.
I can tell you that this is not an unfamiliar process in my career in public access, that I lived through this process in Brattleboro for about 5 or 6 years while they were determining what the best way to proceed with improvements to their police and fire facilities was. So I saw a lot of compelling video and kind of went through that whole process in the background, obviously, with them. So this is not unfamiliar territory for me. I think what I can tell you is that obviously the more compelling case you're going to make to the taxpayers will make life a little easier for you as you proceed with this whole process. I know that it'll be relatively easy for us to get in there with you, have you talk about the current conditions of your facilities, the kind of improvements that you need, the things that need to happen in order for you to be able to do your job to the best of your ability and to provide the best service to the community. And I'm fairly certain that we can help you with that. So it would be guided by you, for you to determine how you want to proceed. I think we can work together and turn this around relatively quickly.
Yeah. What do you think about like maybe testimonials from other department heads in town that would speak to the benefits of, just appropriate quarters for police and fire? I mean, just expanding out some of that sort of more personal aspect.
Well, if you're asking my opinion, I think the more testimonial you have, the better the case you'll make for the project. Ultimately, it's up to you to determine what you feel is the best way to proceed with this in terms of, who you want to talk to, how deep do we want to get into actually exploring the current facilities to see, the sort of shortcomings that you're faced with right now, that sort of thing. But we'll do whatever you feel is the best thing to help make the case for a new facility.
But what about a tour that included, kind of a script from residents, not committee members, but, we could maybe identify some residents to be on tour and have questions that we prepare in advance that they would ask either of the chiefs or other staff people on site. And I'm thinking specifically, John, of your point at one meeting about the extremely narrow leeway that you have even just to open the door of the fire engine. I think you mentioned something about that. Maybe one of your staff people could demonstrate. You just have this very limited size.
Absolutely.
Somebody else could demonstrate challenges in getting equipment out or cleaned or whatever. Somebody else could talk about storage of the important items. I think, Ian, you mentioned a room. I forgot what your room was that you said you had to use a flashlight to even see into it. So, we could sort of plant questions, kind of come up with I don't mean a script where somebody has to memorize anything, but just somebody that extemporaneously can, hit a few bullet points that we want to make sure and capture. Has to look a little bit natural, I should think.
Yeah, I think just a story, like a storyboard or a narrative of just talking points, I think is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unless I'm very wrong, I see a public information session in your future where you're going to bring the community in and make your case to a larger group of folks. I mean, that's just what I'd seen in the past, happened on numerous occasions in Brattleboro. So we can certainly put together assets for you to be able to show at those sorts of things. That would be maybe the same footage, if you will, that we could use for video, but things that you'll have sort of as your inventory of just video and audio assets and that sort of thing.
Out of curiosity, Ryan, do you have any of the video that was done some years back?
Of which building?
Of fire and police. I believe they'd come through and done a video at one point back when this had gone up for discussion some years ago.
Do you remember around what year that was?
I think it was when was that last time it went up in front?
2015, John, but I think it was, we did it ourselves. I think Charlie came in and just took photos.
I thought
I don't
somebody
remember
had
a
come in.
video.
I thought somebody had come in with a camera. I distinctly remember that. Now I don't remember whether it was just sort of like an interview or whether they'd done a walkabout. I don't remember. That's why I was wondering if Jeff or Ryan had a thought to that.
That was before my time, but I certainly can look in our archive and see if that's something we still have.
Yeah, just curious.
Are you thinking, this is to everybody, are we thinking of maybe more than one video? In other words, one time do a video with a tour, and another time do some videos with just statements from the two chiefs. Another time do a public information session that's videoed that can be watched over and over again. I just wonder if that would be interesting to the public. We want to make sure they want to watch it. And so those are three, possible options that we could do. I don't know if we ever want to video any of the committee meetings. Of course, they are video. This particular meeting is being videotaped right now. But I think we could be thinking a little more expansively about that. Issues related to weather, issues related to, I don't know, maybe just, those are just thoughts at the top of my head right now.
Yeah, almost like video interaction with like a PowerPoint kind of thing could be good. That way you get sort of written definition of what you're looking at, and then pictures.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
PowerPoint with pictures, yeah. I'm writing some of these thoughts down.
Yeah, pictures slash video.
Jeff and Ryan, you're the, media people. Is there like a number of minutes that you recommend before you lose your audience? I mean, we're not Hollywood people.
A minute and a half.
45 seconds.
Probably like between 3 and 5 or something like this, I would
Oh,
say.
really? 3 and 5 minutes, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Whoa, I was thinking 20, but okay. I talk a lot, we know that. So 3 to 5 minutes is kind of the optimal, okay. So therefore, we do need to do multiple ones to grab it.
I think what's going to end up happening is we're probably going to have a video that really shows the need for this, which, like I said, I think that there's pretty, good sense that we need this. I think that when it comes to selling a plan, I think that's when we're going to really need to share, this is the site, this is, what it has, this has what the other ones didn't, this is what's needed, and please vote for this or whatever. So I think that the first one is really just to show, the need for it. Down the road, there'll be more of a selling of a plan.
Yeah, you could probably preemptive by, what kind of costs would be associated with fixing them up. That's where we would start our discussion with the OSHA, sort of that in the first one. And then the second one, like you're saying, Rainey, just, here's the site, this is what it would look like. And, here are some of the costs. If we don't do anything, we'd have to revamp these old 150-year-old buildings and what that would cost, sort of a balance.
Or even if it's possible to renovate.
Anything's possible if you throw money at it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I think the local, we've learned from our neighbors, Williamsburg, Westhampton. I think it would be very difficult financially to renovate the existing buildings. It's the price is going to be quite a bit higher.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I think that there's going to be a reuse plan for the old town hall. I don't think there's going to be a reuse plan for the fire station. I think the historical commission realizes that that probably is not going to be possible going forward. That's my sense.
I think that was stated by the people on the historic commission at the recent meeting we held of the whole committee as well. So, all right, what are next steps here? So we're using this time well.
For us, I would say, let's come up with a plan for the kinds of things that you would like to have covered in the initial video. Maybe break it up, police, fire, and just some talking points, and basically a list of things that you need us to get footage of. And then, whatever additional testimonial stuff you want to try to squeeze into that 3 to 5 minute window.
Okay, so those points need to come from the two chiefs. I think Ian stepped away there. What to be noted in the video, talking points, a plan of what to cover. And what was the fourth thing you said? I forgot. I was trying to write down here.
Whatever additional testimonials you want to add.
Oh, right, additional testimonials. Okay. Okay.
So if it's only going to be, 5 minutes or thereabouts tops, then I guess it would just be shared, the time would just be shared between the two chiefs and their, stations. And I guess whatever would have the most impact.
Can we do 2, 1 for each station? 3 to 5 minutes? 3 to 5 minutes is not very long.
It's a fair bit of time. yeah, when you're talking about video, that, I mean, it goes by pretty quickly, but you can get a lot into that time frame.
Okay, so you're recommending both stations be included in that first initial video?
Yeah, I think, really, you're just sort of stating the case for this project to happen and, really kind of just outlining why it needs to happen and what are the major reasons. And then we supplement video to illustrate those points.
So is it a situation where if you, Ryan came in and did the filming and it turned into be 8 or 9 minutes, you folks would do a little editing on that? Is that how it would work?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. And, in the case that it turns out there's so much stuff that you guys deem is important enough that it needs to be covered, I'm sure that we could edit it in a way that we could still include everything that was a priority.
Okay.
Yeah, because one thought is to come out with the video probably sooner than later to get it out there. Short and sweet is probably fine. And then also, we talked about like some of that OSHA stuff, and I think if we sort of concentrated on that as well, you could probably show here. Excuse me a second.
Okay. So that's the next step. I don't know. Is there other things we need to, I mean, obviously both chiefs need to be thinking about what they want to include and what those talking points would be. Is there anything else we need to cover in this meeting? Maybe we would have subsequent meetings if necessary, or do you folks from Easthampton Media have other questions you want to see answered today?
I think really we're curious what the time frame was, what you're looking at in terms of when you want this done.
Well, I just heard John say sooner rather than later. What does everybody else think? Or do we need to pose this to the larger committee in terms of time frame?
I personally think that I think they already charged us with, coming up with something. I would say that we could write a narrative and do something, because sooner than later is still not going to be tomorrow. And I think that once we get more information, like some of the, the OSHA concerns, I think that, those need to be, figured out what all of those are. And if we could probably modify the video to sort of emphasize some of those, because I think once we get into it, it's, what is it going to cost to stay here? So if the town chooses not to do anything to the two buildings, what's going to be the cost to the taxpayer just to make, putting a Band-Aid on the pig? If you got to spend $50,000 to upgrade two buildings, which, they're looking to tear down anyway, I think that's one of the important selling points. It's what Rini had touched on before. So I would say sooner than later, but whatever that looks like, write our narratives and kind of meet with these folks. And then something modified once we have more information.
Okay.
Yeah, I think John and Ian can just reach out to Easthampton Media when they're ready to have it videoed, and then just let the committee know what how things are going along.
Yeah. Is there an email address that's appropriate for you guys?
Yeah, you could either send it to director@easthamptonmedia or send it to director@easthamptonmedia.org, and then you can CC Ryan at Easthampton Media also.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else? Okay. So I know, Rini, you won't be there on next Monday's meeting. The three of us can report on this meeting, and you two will come up with your talking points and if I can be helpful in any way, I don't know how, but I can do my best to try to help you. Let me know.
Yeah, same here. I'm happy to help if you need any help with anything, but it sounds like you'll just try to figure out the points, and it's, 2 to 3 minutes a piece at the most. Not a lot.
Yeah, me bounce a narrative off you folks just because it's good to have the third party perspective on it, not just fire or PD.
Sure.
Sure.
And I would just mention, you don't necessarily have to try to keep your remarks while you're writing lists to 2 or 3 minutes. We can edit it down to a nice bite-sized chunk, and you can help decide what parts you want to keep in and what you want to prioritize, rather than try to do it before you even start.
Can I ask Jeff and Ryan, when you had experience doing other videos of public safety, police and fire, you mentioned Brattleboro. Was there any advice in terms of, I'm just thinking the fire department. Obviously not going through the entire building. You think it's a good suggestion to just pick a half a dozen key sort of impact things to, or a tour?
I don't know that a tour is necessary. I think the things that you want to emphasize is, why is this facility no longer adequate? What's prohibiting you from doing the services that you need to do to the best of your abilities? Why this may be a hazardous environment to the employees, if that's the case. I know in Brattleboro, they were full time, so they had guys sleeping in the station, and that fumes from the engines would be a problem and that sort of thing. So I don't know if that's the case with you, but those sorts of things I think would be, the major talking points.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
I guess that's it for today. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you very much. All right.
All right.
So
Thanks.
see you guys next Monday, and have a good vacation, Rini.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you
All right.
all.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.